5:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. It is Nashville's Morning News. I'm Dan. JB's there. Ken Weaver's over yonder. Hope you are doing well so far this morning. Donald Trump, I thought he did great on Laura Ingram's big town hall last night on Fox News. There's a number of different audio bites that I have to play for you. He did make some news, including one surprising announcement regarding who his VP, who his running mate could be. Listen very closely to what the former president, possibly future president, has to say about Ron DeSantis.
Vivek Ramaswamy, he's made a big splash. Ron DeSantis, who's making an appearance today in South Carolina, we just found out. Obviously, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, and a big presence here for Tulsi Gabbard. Very interesting. And Kristi Noem as well, I should say. Right. Are they all on your short list?
They are. Honestly, all of those people are good. They're all good. They're all solid. And I always say, I want people with common sense.
So in case you missed it, he said, and a lot of names were flying by, but he did say Ron DeSantis, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis could be on his short list. Of course, DeSantis has said over and over again, no, I will not be Donald Trump's running mate. I think it's going to be because part of what the former president has been doing is he's really been talking up Tim Scott. Now, of those names, you had Vivek Ramaswamy, Byron Donalds, Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Scott. He did mention Ron DeSantis as well. I think Kristi Noem was in there too. I like either Byron Donalds. I like Tulsi Gabbard. I understand the appeal of a Tulsi Gabbard, so to speak. I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy should be the VP. I think that he does, if he wants to be part of, Donald Trump's administration, if he ends up winning the presidency, I think Ramaswamy does need to be somewhere in the president's press. He's got to be White House press secretary or whatever. But for me, I like Byron Donalds. I like Tim Scott. I sort of understand the whole Tulsi Gabbard thing, although, to be honest with you, I just don't know if she's the right person. But there's a lot of quality names, and I like what the president said. I'm just looking for somebody with some common sense, which is kind of hard to find in Washington, D.C. But yeah, DeSantis was in South Carolina ahead of the primary there in a few days. By the way, in South Carolina, you know what the polls are showing? Nikki Haley is losing to Donald Trump in her own state of South Carolina, 63 to 35%. So, of course, the question comes up with Donald Trump, why won't Nikki Haley just drop out? I don't think a lot of people are asking that question. Here's what the president said.
Many of the same politicians who now publicly embrace Trump privately dread him.
That's Nikki Haley.
They know what a disaster he's been and will continue to be for our party. Some people used to say I was running because I really wanted to be vice president. I think I've pretty well settled that question.
Now, I don't know. Why does she talk like that? That can't just be me. It's like the pattern of her speaking. She sounds so incredibly robotic, not to mention sometimes the things that she says are rather ridiculous, including, what she just said about, being Donald Trump's running mate and, how Republicans secretly hate Donald Trump or whatever it was that she said. This is what Donald Trump said about Nikki Haley being his running mate.
Has she settled that question?
Well, I settled it about 3 months ago.
The Trump fans there in this town hall with Laura Ingraham clearly love that answer. Nikki Haley said, well, I think I've settled that. I'm not going to be Donald Trump's running mate. And, of course, Trump comes back with this touche comment.
Has she settled that question?
Well, I settled it about 3 months ago.
All right, there you go. So clearly we do know that it's not going to be Nikki Haley. But I think that we all knew that. There's a lot of people talking about how Haley, did Nikki Haley have a big announcement yesterday? I haven't seen anything in the news today.
It was her saying that she's not going to drop out of the race yet.
Oh, is that what her announcement was?
It's a big deal, Brother Dan. Nobody expected it.
Shocking. Really, that was her big announcement?
That was it.
She's been saying, how is that a big announcement?
Yeah. I mean, it was to her.
All right, well, very good. Nikki Haley. I think she's going to perhaps, the overnight guys were talking about this. I've been mentioning this for quite some time. Will she be the no labels candidate? Because they still don't have a no labels candidate.
Yeah, what's his name? Joe Manchin, he dropped out.
He did drop out. So I don't know who.
Mitt Romney?
Yeah. I think it would be if Nikki Haley was the candidate for no labels, then, and the Red Eye guys were talking about this, who would be her running mate? It would be either a Mitt Romney type. I don't think Mitt Romney would take it backstage to Nikki Haley. So it'd have to be, somebody who is a Democrat or somebody who is very independent minded, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, me personally, I don't think that Nikki Haley would be good for the no labels party, because let's face it, a lot of the support that Nikki Haley has right now, those numbers and what little support she has, they're propped up by the Democrats. I mean, if you take the Democrat support away from Nikki Haley, then she literally has no support at all. Anyway, you look at the general election, Trump is winning everywhere. Rasmussen, this was in the last day or two, has Trump over Biden by 6. You throw Kennedy in there and Trump is also up by 6. It looks like Kennedy is pulling from both Donald Trump and Joe Biden support. Morning Consult, by the way, has Donald Trump up by 4. In Pennsylvania, and this is part of the big news cycle today, Donald Trump is up by 2 over Joe Biden. They also, folks are reporting that Donald Trump is out fundraising Joe Biden in Pennsylvania as well. By the way, you throw Kennedy into the mix and the rest of the pack, and Donald Trump is up by 5 in Pennsylvania. So there's a lot going on. In South Carolina, by the way, Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. And by the way, the only reason I'm talking about this is so that I could play the stupid Jim Clyburn audio again. In South Carolina, Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, Trump is up by 14. But, clearly the good people of South Carolina, they see something going on with Joe Biden. Remember, Jim Clyburn said this?
Well, the thing that keeps me wide awake are the misinformation efforts that are underway throughout this campaign. I've heard so much from people sharing to me things that just aren't true. So much from people who seem to feel that everything they see or hear via the internet has some substance to them.
What they hear.
Jim Clyburn.
I thought that was him.
No, that's me.
But that's what he does.
Yeah. Why did?
Yeah.
Well, the thing that keeps me wide awake are the misinformation.
How do you know what Jim Clyburn's line?